Guess what time it is? Friday Jams! Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Rock Your Brand Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Boker, a serial entrepreneur on a mission to help you. This show is designed to teach you, to inspire you, to motivate you to take massive action and build a future-proof business. So, whether you're just starting out or taking your existing business to the next level, this is your home. Now, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's rock your brand. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this Friday Jam session. Super excited you're here. And if you haven't heard me say it before, I'm going to say it right now. This is probably one of the highlights of my week because I get to hang out with some cool people every single Friday and answer some really awesome questions. Now, you might be asking, Scott, how do I get my question answered? Well, all you need to do is become part of our Take Action crew. How do you do that? Very easy. Head on over to takeactioncrew.com. It's totally free, and we do it every single Friday, and it is a blast. So what you're about to listen to is one that we did last week. So this way here, even if you can't attend, you can always show up here to the Rock Your Brand podcast and listen to our live jam session. All right, guys, so sit back, relax, and let's jam. All right, guys, welcome back to another Friday jam session. And this is going to be a good one because we are going to be talking about a question that I have been asked numerous ways. But the question we're going to be answering today is, Scott, should I start a podcast? Should I start a YouTube channel? Should I start blogging? Should I start Pinterest? What should I do? What is best to start with? That's what we're going to be answering. And there's a few different things we need to discuss to really know what is best for you. I'm going to give you my thoughts on all of them, okay? And really the order that I would do those. But again, it is going to vary. Now, if you are listening to this on the podcast, well, I'm actually doing this live right now with a group of people. We call them our Take Action crew. And it's where we show up every Friday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. And we do this jam session. So we're going to do some live Q&A after we get done with this one segment. But if you want to be part of the crew, head on over to takeactioncrew.com. Again, that's takeactioncrew.com. You can go there. You will be able to join the crew for free. And you will also be able to have access to a really cool player that will allow you to search through all of the past coffee talks, which I think there's just about 200 there now. And you'll be able to ask a question in there and it will come up with all of the instances of all the past coffee talks and show you exactly where that was addressed and answered or talked about. Really cool little player there. So go check that out, takeactioncrew.com. All right, cool. So let's get to it. Here we go. So what should I start first? Podcast, YouTube, or a blog? Those are the three main ones. Now, you guys probably know, if not, if you're first time listening to the show, you're going to know very soon. I'm very, very adamant about creating assets. That's what they are, by the way, assets in my business that are evergreen. Okay. What does that mean? It means if I'm going to spend time working on something, I don't want it to be a one-off deal. Okay. Now, social media is pretty much a one-off deal in a lot of circumstances. Okay. Even right now, if you're listening to this, that's on a podcast. We'll talk about that and where that plays a role. But right now I am doing this on Facebook. Okay. And I'm doing it as a Facebook Live. Now, I'm doing that for a bunch of different reasons. Okay. And I'll talk about those in a little bit, but this is not really evergreen. It's evergreen that it lives on, but I want to go after search. Okay. I want to go after search. And what that basically means is if I put a piece of content on YouTube, I know that someone can search and find that 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. Okay. That's evergreen to me. Okay. Now this is evergreen on Facebook because it does live on my page, but you'd have to sift through my page, and who really searches on Facebook for how to or any of that stuff, right? So it's not evergreen in that sense. So what we want to do is we want to take that piece of content on a social media platform and we want to evergreen it. And that would be taking it, turning it into a blog post, taking it, putting it up on YouTube, maybe making some pins on Pinterest that could drive traffic to it because that's a search platform as well. So I'm always looking for search platforms. Now, podcasting is technically a search platform as well, but a lot of people are not searching there for how-tos. They might be searching at first. Maybe if they're going on a plane, they're like, oh, I want to go and start, maybe looking into real estate investing. And then they would search real estate investing. Yes, that does happen. But that is not going to happen as often as someone landing on an episode or, a podcast itself, and then seeing related podcasts. That's how you're going to grow the podcast. So it's not necessarily a great move for, yes, it's evergreen. Okay. So I've got 950, almost 50. It'll be 50 episodes on Monday, I think. Monday or Wednesday. I think I already recorded 950. So 950 episodes that are on iTunes, that are on Stitcher, that are on all of these different platforms. And there's episodes right now, all the way back to episode 1 that people are still listening to today. Right? Now, if I was to start and look at that, like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast and that's going to be my main way of getting traffic, I would not start that way. Because a podcast, like I said, it's a great way to do this. It's a great way to build connection. It's a great way for you to hear the inflection in my voice, to hear the passion that I have, to hear my stories, right? So podcasting has been a great vehicle for me. It's been a great vehicle. And what I mean by vehicle is it's a way for me to connect with someone else and allow me to transfer my methodology, my thoughts, my beliefs, my expertise, like all of that stuff is transferred there. And when someone listens to a podcast, they're listening for usually at least 15 minutes if the episode's that long, and a lot of times for an hour or more. I've had people that say, Scott, I went on a 10-hour flight, maybe to Hawaii or wherever, and I listened to you. I downloaded a bunch of episodes. I listened to you the entire way. That's 10 hours of someone being with you. So I say that because it's a really great platform for that connection piece, right? But if I'm looking at this, like I've got podcast, I've got YouTube, and I've got blog, right? Now, I personally, and again, it depends on the brand. It depends on the market, right? Something like this, if I'm doing some type of coaching, if I'm doing something like this, then a podcast is probably a great thing. If I am teaching people, I don't know, how to do vertical gardening, I probably wouldn't start with a podcast. I would start with YouTube, and then I would probably go blog. And then if I wanted to, I could add podcast, right? But I would go in that order. Again, so it's per, niche, or even for you, are you going to be wanting to podcast? You got to ask yourself, do you want a podcast? Do you want to actually show up and consistently put out content? Whatever it is that you're going to choose, no matter what, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent. I've done 950-ish podcast episodes. I have never failed to publish one. I made a commitment, and actually in the beginning, I made a commitment for 25 episodes. I said, I'm going to record 25 episodes. I'm going to post them, and then I'm going to evaluate. Is it worth me doing it? Do I like it? And after 25 episodes, I liked it, and I was starting to build an audience. So you have to make a commitment, even if it's a micro commitment, and that could be on a blog. But if you try to do all three, I'll tell you this, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to do anything. Okay? Most likely. We all do it. We want to do everything, right? So right now, I don't do TikTok. I don't do Snapchat. I don't do Clubhouse. Why? I know that they're there. I know that there's potential there. I know people have built huge followings on Instagram. I know people have spent a lot of time on Snapchat and built up a following there. TikTok, all of these, right? Clubhouse is the big new thing, and everyone's jumping on. I'm not doing that because I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to podcast. I'm going to do YouTube. I'm going to do blog, right? And really for me, podcast comes first because that's been my main vehicle, my main platform. Okay. So you have to decide that. There's not a right or a wrong answer, but I will tell you this: when you are considering how to choose, and you can always bolt one of these on. It doesn't have to be, oh, I can only do the one. No, you can start with video. Here's the cool thing. If you start with video on YouTube and you start there, you can strip the audio and then create a podcast, right? So right now I am doing this live on Facebook. I'm broadcasting to YouTube, okay? And I'm recording this, and then it's going to get uploaded to the podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast, you're hearing the audio version of this, okay? So that's a way that you can take that piece of content and you can multi-purpose it, okay? Now, if you are in a video and there's a lot of explaining and showing and you know, like describing things, and they have to visually see it, it's going to be annoying to someone on a podcast that can't see it. So whenever I'm doing it, I'm conscious of that. If I'm sharing my screen, I will say, listen, I'm showing this diagram right now. I'm going to walk you through it the best that I can so you can visualize it. So I'm acknowledging that I know that you're listening to it on a podcast, but I recorded it on video. Oh, and if you want to watch it, go to the show notes and you can watch the embedded video there. So I'll make a note of that. So these are just things that you need to think about. And again, there's not a right or a wrong, but I will say this: whatever you do, pick one and stick to it. Pick one and stick to it and be consistent. And the way you do that is you create yourself a schedule. I created Monday, Wednesday, and Friday all the way back when I started the podcast over 5 years ago. I started doing these coffee talks. I was doing 7 days a week when we went into the pandemic. And then I said, you know what? That's a lot. I'm going to do 100 sessions that way. And I'm going to see how it feels. It felt great, but it also felt like, oh my gosh, like I got to keep showing up. I got to keep showing up. And I said, so what could I do that would make me feel good? I can still connect with people, deliver value, and I could also take some of these and turn them into podcast episodes. I said, why don't I just do the same schedule I've been doing all along, Monday, Wednesday, Friday? And all of you that have been listening for any period of time on these coffee talks, you've seen that all happen, right? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my days. Never miss. I've been here. And actually next week I'm going away. Actually, not, next Friday. So next Friday's jam session, I'm probably going to be in the car. I'm heading to Clearwater, Florida. So I'm going to be heading that way. I'm going to be in the car. I've already thought about it. I'm going to have to record that one in the car. I'm going to be in the car for like 8 hours. So I'm going to fire up the phone, whether my wife's going to be just sitting there as I'm answering questions or going through and doing a jam session, or maybe I'll be in the passenger seat and I'll just be kind of hanging out there. But I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to try at least, because that's my commitment to myself. It's my commitment to you. Okay. So we got to have that commitment, but I'm always thinking evergreen. So I want you to think, what is going to be the easiest for you to do, that's going to be the most comfortable for you to do, but pick the one that you can be the most consistent on. That is the secret. And now we're going to answer some questions. So guys, what kind of questions do we have today? And if there's any on this, let me know and we will address those. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. Oh, cool. I appreciate your time, Professor. I will leave an iTunes review. No chance to win a gift needed. Much deserved. Well, you know what? Anybody that puts in a review or feedback between now and the end of the month is going to be entered. So, yeah, that's all. Let's see here. Yep. Ruth is doing blog posts and social media. Yes, you are. You're doing a great job, and you're doing emails every single week. Let's see. Do you need 2 accounts on ConvertKit if you have 2 distinct brands? You don't need to, but it is easier. It is easier. And I'm not sure who this is. It says Facebook user, so I can't address you by first name, but it is easier. But you do not have to. You can create different email profiles, so whoever you're sending, but you will need to segment inside of ConvertKit. But if you have two distinct brands, you might want to just do two accounts, two free accounts, and then whichever one you need to go to paid, you can go to paid. It's up to 1,000. Let's see, 1,000 subscribers. There's no autoresponder built in, but there is broadcast, and there is some automated messages when people download things. So you do have that. You do have that ability to use that. We actually show that inside of the email list building fast track workshop, which, by the way, I should probably throw that up there. If you guys need help building the list, here's a little shameless plug for the email list building fast track workshop. Just go to emaillistclass.com. We show you how to use it in ConvertKit, and we show you how to set everything up. We show you how to do it with the free account. We show you how to do it with a paid account. So that's inside of the workshop. All right, so let's go back to those comments. Let's see. Yeah, Lucas, good point. Podcasts can get 25 plus pieces of content and have a shelf life of like 2 years. Yeah, it can. And again, like I don't do as much of the taking the one piece of content and breaking it up into little mini pieces and blasting it out on Facebook and blasting it out on Instagram. I just have found that it's a lot of work to do that. You do need to hire someone internally. I like internally, someone to do that. And we just have seen like it's not really worth us doing all of those micro pieces on all of those other platforms, because then that means we have to build that platform. So Instagram, for example, that means I got to continually try to get followers and all of that stuff. And the engagement is so low. It's just, for me, it's not worth the time to do that. But you are right. You can take one piece of content and break it up into 25 different pieces, depending on how long the content is. Oh, Tiffany. Hey, Tiffany. I don't know if I've seen you around here, but welcome. What program are you using now? The video is so clear. Okay. So I have a full video on my YouTube channel that actually walks through my entire setup here, all the way from the board, the mic, the light, computer, and camera. And so what I have right now is one of the big things. If you're liking the crispness of it and you have a little bit of shallow depth of field back there, right? It's blurry back there. That's the camera and the lens. The camera is the Sony I think it's the Q5100. They don't make that one anymore. I think it's the 5200. But again, I've got everything over on my YouTube channel. If you go to Brand Creators, the YouTube channel, and just look up the live video setup, you'll find it. Everything is right there. And I'm inside of the program I'm using is StreamYard, which is right around $50 a month. And that allows me to record inside internally in the cloud on their server. Also, it pushes it to Facebook in my page, in the group, YouTube, and I can even do more if I wanted to. I've got an old Periscope account, which I was doing in the beginning, and then there was just a lot of, it was like just a lot of not good people coming on from there. So I just decided not even to go there. But yeah, that's what we're doing here. And then, it's CamLink. CamLink is another secret ingredient. The CamLink is a little device that gets plugged into the computer. And really what it does is it encodes the video before it hits the computer. So it allows you to stream at a higher bit rate, just to get a little technical. But this is I literally can walk in here and grab my coffee, set up. The cameras everything's already set up, and I just go ahead and just hit go, and I'm ready to go. And I think that's another thing, right? If you are going to do any type of live streaming, you want to have an area where you can just sit down and record. So you have to worry about all the setup. Jason, you better start planning for episode 1000. It has to be something big. It was funny. I had someone ask me that the other day, like, what are you going to do for that? And I was like, I should probably start planning that. I should probably have the date set for that as well. So any ideas, Jason, throw them my way. I'd love the ideas. Chantel says, that's how I found you podcast. Cool. So Chantel, if you're still with us, so you went on iTunes or whatever platform and you searched, or was it related to another podcast? I'm curious. How did you stumble upon the podcast? When you take Facebook Live and post it as a video on YouTube, does it do as well as video specifically made for YouTube? The answer is no, it doesn't. And I would think that a live video on that platform would do better. Facebook was favoring live video for a while, and you would think YouTube would as well. It just doesn't. I still haven't cracked the code on YouTube. It's a very, very tricky little beast, but I'm just still consistently putting up videos there. These live streams, I should get better about creating specific content just for that platform. But again, it's one of those things like this is easy enough that it just broadcasts over there. It creates the file. It's up there. And I might get 50 or 100 views on it. You know what I mean? Like within a week. So it's not a ton. Here's the thing. Here's where the numbers don't really matter. And I don't know if Jason, there's another Jason, not Jason Quint. There's another Jason, and Jason, if you are watching, I apologize, but he's now part of our Brand Creators Academy. He found me through a YouTube live, right? So people would be like, well, Scott, what if you're only getting 50 or 100 people to watch that? Like, why would you keep doing it? I mean, don't you want thousands? No, I'm okay with that. Because there's going to be people that come over. I'll give you another example. I had someone come to my lake house for a $4,500 2.5 day retreat where all we did was worked on their business for 2.5 days. It was 2 businesses. Each of them had partners. So it was 4 people and it was $4,500 a business. And they came for 2.5 days. The one business came from YouTube, from me doing YouTube stuff like this. So you just never know. So I don't look at the numbers as much, right? I look at the quality. I look at people like you engaging. And you know what? Even though there's 26 of you right now, that's what the live number came in at, 26 right now live. And some of you might see it on Facebook on the one page and it might say 4 people. And the other one might say 10 people. And then YouTube might say 4 people, whatever the number is that it adds up to. I'm seeing it collectively. So like, I'll get anywhere from 26 to 50 people live. That's not a lot, but you get 26 or 50 people in a room, it's a good size. And that's how you build relationships. So don't get hung up on the numbers. Don't get hung up on the numbers. Let's see here. Why did you start your podcast? Okay, I'll tell you why I did it. I don't like writing. Okay, there's no secret there. I don't like writing. I like talking. Okay, I like talking. I can explain myself better. But when I first started, I was also nervous that I was going to say things wrong. The words that I say don't always come out right. The way that I say things don't come out right. And I could feel at times like I would seem uneducated. And at times I probably do. But what really allowed me to overcome that was for me just to be hanging out with people like you and envision myself just hanging out with my friends that aren't going to really judge me that way. And once I did that, I was able to really let that go. So the podcast was an easier vehicle for me. Okay. Because all I got to do is hit record and go. Right. I mean, literally to podcast, you could take your phone, record in your voice memo, and then you could just publish that. I mean, super easy to do. But a lot of times people want to get fancy, right? Like this mic, I didn't have this mic when I first started. I didn't have the mixing board when I first started, right? You can get away with a Zoom mic for $100. I started the podcast. It was easiest for me. Okay. That's why. And I don't know, part of me wanted to just have a podcast, right? There's no secret either that I wanted to be a rock star when I was younger. And that's the truth. I had long hair. I had the whole thing. And I've always enjoyed being on stage. I've always enjoyed being in front of an audience. And I think I do my best work. This is like my zone of genius, as they call it. It's like my happy place. So this is easier for me. And being off the cuff is easier for me. Like if I had to do a script and read a teleprompter, I wouldn't do good. So you have to figure out what are your strengths? What are you going to be able to show up consistently with? And that's what it was for me. So that's why I decided that, Salma. Do you transcribe your videos for blogs? What do you use? Yes. Okay. So what we do is, there is a transcription, at least there was, but now I have a dedicated show notes, woman that does them for me. So what she does is she will take the episode and she will go ahead and give a really detailed summary of it. So if you've ever looked at the show notes, you'll see it's broken down so you could read it and it's not just a transcript. I didn't want just a transcript there, although I did in the beginning. In the beginning, I wrote them myself, like 150 words, like painfully writing 150 words, trying to just explain. And I'm just not good. I'm, with writing and summarizing. So I hired someone to do that. And that's part of the podcast. So that's part of like my production team. I have someone that edits the audio, the video, and then I have someone that takes the show notes and puts those in and does all that stuff now. So now I've gotten to the place where all I need to do is this, and then I download this, upload it to a Dropbox folder, and I'm done. But in the beginning, it wasn't like that. I was taking it, I was editing it, I was uploading it, I was tagging, I was doing all of that stuff. That's what I had to do, So that's sometimes what you have to do in the beginning. Let's see here. Would you consider Facebook user? I don't know who you are. So if you could put your name in there, that'd be great. I don't see the profile picture. Would you consider email a social platform, or is that to be used in conjunction with the ones you mentioned, YouTube, podcast, blog? No, email is not social because email you control. Actually, email is my favorite. Okay. Email is my favorite. There's no secret there as well. Email is my favorite. And I don't see that going away, because when I write an email, I can hit send and send it to everyone that has ever subscribed and that wants to get stuff from me immediately. And I can immediately notify them. Facebook is tough. Facebook is only going to notify some people, and it's engagement, and there's all these factors that go into it. Email, you definitely got to make sure that you're getting through the spam traps and all that stuff. And we talk about that in our email list building class. But it's pretty basic, but that is my platform of choice is email. I mean, podcasting is the content side of things. Email kind of is, but email is amplifying the content. So social media to me would be amplifying the content. So to me, it would be like creating your piece of content, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a YouTube video, whether that's a blog post. And then your email list is going to be like, hey, I just did a podcast episode on X, Y, and Z. You should go check it out. Here's the link. Let me know what you think. Talk to you later. Scott, P.S. Oh, and there's one part in the podcast where I shared a tip on how to beat procrastination. And it's really helped me through the years. You should check it out. Here it is if you've ever struggled with procrastination. That would be that, right? So all you're doing in the email is you're amplifying. Social media, if you're going to jump on Facebook 3 times a day, you might want to just put a little blurb that says, hey, same thing. Like, go check out the episode if you struggle with this, that, or the other thing. Or if you want to find a way to catch more bass, I cover 5 of those right here. Go check it out. Amplification of the content is done through those platforms. But amplifying content through like Pinterest, I like that better because Pinterest is a search engine, right? Facebook is not a search engine. Instagram isn't a search engine. Snapchat is not a search engine. So if it's not a search engine, it's not evergreen. Okay. Even though it might live on, it's not evergreen to the point where people are going to be able to find it by a search. And that's really what I'm looking for is I need to publish stuff that is being searched for years from now. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Amplification is like email. Now, email can also, though, the really cool thing about email is we can create a sequence that will drip out content. So you can kind of set it and forget it and let people go through maybe, 10 weeks of something if you want. I like to just give them what they delivered on. And then I like to get them into my broadcast series where then I'm literally emailing. Like this morning, I emailed and hit send to everyone on the list. Right. So that's what I like. But yes, no, email is not social media in my eyes. Social media is really like you're on that hamster wheel. You got to keep feeding it. Tomorrow it's gone. Feed it. Tomorrow it's gone. Feed it. And I don't like that pressure. Let's see here. Oh, this is cool. Hey, Dave. Good morning, Scott. Just want to say thanks for all the gold nuggets. I'm driving truck and listening to all your podcasts while driving down the highway. So much great intel. Dude, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, that's what I mean. Like, people like Dave, they're in the car for a lot of hours and they're listening, right? I mean, imagine that. Like, and Dave, I don't know if you're still with us. Like, whereabouts are you? Well, don't text if you're driving, but yeah, I'm just curious because it's pretty incredible when you meet people in person. You hear where everybody's from and how they listen and how they consume and how it's changed their life and how this one nugget changed their perspective or whatever. So yes, really, really cool to be able to do that. And that is the power of a podcast or content in general. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that Friday jam session. And like I said in the beginning, if you want to attend one of our live Friday jam sessions, all you need to do is head on over to takeactioncrew.com. That is where we show up every Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And you can join us. You can ask a question, and then I can answer it. And we can go ahead and also publish it here on the podcast. So once again, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. This is always one of the highlights of my week. And until next time, remember, I'm here for you, I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to, come on, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now go rock your brand.